Hello and good day to all. Welcome back to my channel. For today's topic, we shall touch on a possible alternative to this never-ending MLC saga. We will discuss some merits of the existing TRB or Training Record Book. So, come on, join me. Let's get down to it. So from the words of Kita Clip, today more than ever, seafaring is a job that demands highly trained and qualified personnel. Modern ships are designed and built to the highest technical standards and require crew members with a high level of professional competence. When he goes on to discuss more on the operational safety and efficiency in the participation of shipping companies and the importance of women as a future source of seagoing human resources, which he said cannot be overstressed. The shipping world cannot afford to ignore such a rich and still largely untapped source of quality recruits. That is Kita Glim. So what are the requirements for deck and engine officers? I'll show you a sample, but this is deck. Engine is almost the same, except that the education and training is slightly different. Okay, so deck officers, general requirements to obtain a certificate of competency as an officer in charge of the navigational watch or engine watch of 500 gross tons or 750 kilowatt power output. These are convention type vessels. So STCW covers 500 gross tons and above and 750 kilowatts and above. Okay? Anything below that, that is up to the flag state of that particular country. So if you're going to go on shipboard training, better make sure that it is STCW convention type of ship. Now, moving on in the requirements for deck officers, the general requirements are of course your education and training. Okay, so without that, you cannot proceed to step 2. Then you have your seagoing service. The minimum is 12 months. So that's inside the STCW code. The third is the actual bridge watch duty, not responsibly but as assistant to the bridge watch keeping. You should never take command. And finally, radio service. You're supposed to be proficient in certain degrees of radio communications. For the engine part, likewise, you need also education and training. Okay? Then you have the seagoing service. Although there might be some slight variations in the engine side. Okay? Some 6 months first a workshop and the others is actual seaboard, depends. Okay? And then you have engine watchroom keeping. The same as the deck. You stand watch but not as the officer, only as an assistant or a trainee. Okay? So never take responsibilities yet while you are still unlicensed. So that covers the engine requirements. And going now to the training record book contents, it's basically 4 major areas of concern that you have once you start using your training record book. You have first the structure, which is supposed to be aligned with the table of competence. It is assumed that when you get your TRB, those questions inside are aligned with the code. Okay? Number 2, it provides a framework for planning approved training. So check your TRB. Okay? It has both basic training required, master's concurrence, chief engineer's concurrence, verification and competency by the watchkeepers. Okay. And then you go down to specifics, assignments in less or greater detail. There are some details that you have to do, chief find quite easy on board, and there are some that are challenging. All of this must be taken into account. Okay? And finally, as mentioned, this TRB that you are presently using or we're presently using in the industry now is for the first certificate of competency. Regulation 2-1 in navigation and Regulation 3-1 in engineering. And that is found in your STCW Section A code. Okay? The TRB presently being used caters to this. Now the question is, can it be used for the highest level or the next higher level in terms of assessment of management candidacy competence? The answer is yes. But a review of these functions here in the next level should be done and is in due order. And now for this special segment, as with all the other videos, here is my take on this. And this is my take. The Training Record Book or TRB, like any other guidance, contains the necessary chapters in the code, and the purpose of which is to let the holder do an actual and practical hands-on on the activities that are stipulated inside the record book. This is to create what we call a documentary evidence which can be confirmed and verified. So having said that, it is just a snapshot of the actual hands-on theoretical part that was made practical. And for this TRB that is presently being used today, it is a preparation for the first level of competency, which is the watchkeeper. Now, why am I saying this? Because if you can use that and present it to the assessment board and have it approved, then most likely you can do the same for management level. Okay? Now, what is the best thing to do there? Make another record book, or call it assessment form or assessment guide or whatever you might call it, but it is geared towards the next chapter, which is management. This is chapter 2-2 for deck, chapter 3-2 for engine. It defines the managerial level that is required for each candidate hoping to take the next and the highest level of competence. Now, why do I say this as an alternative? Because what is presently being done now is bombarding the students with the MLC course, which is long, tedious, and at the very least, informative. Because they are active seafarers. And remember, active seafarers, when you revalidate, you just check their seafarer's record book. Okay? A lot of schools of thought were circling around now that they should take the training. My take is that this training is already included in the 3-year baccalaureate program, the 3+1, so 4 years. To say that it isn't is very defeatist. That means to say you have been issued a bachelor's degree and yet you still lack certain subjects. If it is an upgrading, what did you upgrade? So it is included in the bachelor's program. And many more arguments are set forth. But the main thing here is, if you want a more robust and clearer direction to have the last license or competency qualified, then consider making an onboard approved in-service training. It's there also in column 3 of the KUP. Aside from assessment, examination, training, in service. Okay? So what must we do? Go back to the section A, chapter 2 and chapter 3 of the code. Then you can see and you can start establishing a more robust and more practical means of assessing. And you let the candidates take that with them, accomplish that. It doesn't have to be accomplished in 12 months, or although it can, because once you have completed your OIC, you still need 24 months before you can even be considered to take the MLC. So you still have the luxury of time. But to deprive the seafarer of a much needed rest ashore and to compel that person to take MLC courses which are too long, okay? What happens? Are we really helping them? It's time now to think outside the box. This was already thought of before. Somewhere along the way, it stopped. Let's consider it again. And that is my take for this video. Thank you. And that's all the time we have for this video episode. I hope that you have found it to be very useful and to continue with your career at sea. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until we meet again in my next vlog, it's the new year, so let's begin it right. Stay safe. Thank you, and God bless.